What if the oldest thing about you isn't your DNA? It's your dreams. Tonight, after you fall asleep, your brain may do something it has been doing for tens of thousands of years. Not scrolling, not solving emails, not remembering passwords. It may return to a world that no longer exists. A world of forests, campfires, predators hidden in the dark, and the strangest part, you probably won't even notice. Because when you wake up, you'll call it just a dream. But what if that's the biggest misunderstanding we've ever had about dreams? What if every night, your mind quietly slips into a conversation that began long before the first city was built, long before the first book was written, long before history itself? Now think about your last dream. Don't analyze it. Just remember it. Were you running? Looking for someone? Lost inside a place that felt familiar, even though you'd never been there before? Or maybe someone who died years ago suddenly appeared, as if they'd never left. It felt real, until it didn't. Then morning arrived. You brushed your teeth, checked your phone, started your day, and whatever happened in that dream slowly dissolved into the background. Most of us treat dreams like random noise, a strange movie our brains accidentally produced. But here's something worth asking. If dreams are meaningless, why has every civilization in history been fascinated by them? Ancient Egyptians believed dreams carried messages from the gods. The ancient Greeks built temples where people slept, hoping dreams would reveal cures for illness. Many indigenous cultures saw dreams as a bridge between the visible world and the invisible one. Different continents, different languages, different beliefs. Yet somehow, they all treated dreams as something important. Were they all simply mistaken? Or did they notice something we've forgotten? Here's where things become genuinely strange. Imagine taking a modern human, removing their phone, their car, their house, their electricity, their entire modern world, then placing them into a hunter-gatherer tribe 40,000 years ago. It sounds impossible, but biologically, that person would fit in far better than most people imagine. Because evolution doesn't work on the timescale of civilization. Cities appeared only a tiny moment ago in evolutionary history. Agriculture, even more recent. The internet, less than the blink of an eye. Your environment transformed almost overnight. Your brain didn't. In fact, if you could somehow scan the brain of an ancient hunter resting beside a fire and compare it to yours while you're asleep tonight, the similarities would be astonishing. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If our brains are still built for an ancient world, shouldn't our dreams be ancient too? Here's something you may never have noticed. Modern life has changed what scares you, but it hasn't changed how fear feels. Thousands of years ago, a snapping branch outside your shelter could mean a hungry predator. Your heartbeat exploded. Your breathing quickened. Every muscle prepared to move. Today, your phone buzzes with an unexpected message. Your boss says, "We need to talk." Your bank account drops lower than expected. Your pulse races anyway. Completely different threats. Exactly the same survival system. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between a lion hiding in the grass and uncertainty hiding in your future. It only knows one thing. Pay attention. Now imagine falling asleep after a day filled with danger. Would it really make sense for your brain to simply turn off, or would it keep working? This is where one of the most fascinating ideas in psychology begins. Some researchers believe dreams aren't random entertainment, they're rehearsal. Think about pilots. Before flying real aircraft, they spend hours inside flight simulators. The mistakes happen there, so they don't happen 30,000 feet in the air. Now imagine evolution building something similar, not with computers, but with imagination. Every night, your brain creates situations. You run, you hide, you search, you fail, you escape, you wake up. No physical danger, yet your mind has practiced surviving another day. Scientists call one version of this idea the threat simulation theory. Whether it's the complete explanation or only part of the story is still debated. But the idea is remarkably compelling because across cultures, across ages, across continents, people keep reporting astonishingly similar dreams. Being chased, falling, getting lost, searching desperately for someone, arriving too late, missing something important. Why these dreams? Why not endless dreams about quietly folding laundry? Why do our sleeping minds return again and again? To urgency, to uncertainty, to survival? Maybe because they always have. And if that's true, then your dreams aren't simply echoes of yesterday. They may be echoes of humanity itself. But survival wasn't the greatest challenge ancient humans faced. Loneliness was. And what that did to the human mind. may explain some of the strangest dreams you've ever had. Surviving the wilderness wasn't just about escaping predators, it was about staying with your people. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing your tribe had moved on without you. No food, no shelter, no protection, no second chance. For an ancient human, being left behind wasn't awkward. It was often a death sentence. That's why evolution built something remarkable into your brain. It made belonging feel essential, not as a preference, as a necessity. Now think about your own dreams. How often do they revolve around people? A family member who suddenly disappears. A childhood friend you haven't seen in years. Someone who refuses to recognize you. Someone you desperately need to find. Someone you've already lost. Your sleeping mind returns to people again and again. Why? Because relationships have always been part of survival, long before they became part of happiness. Even while you sleep, your brain quietly asks the same ancient question it has asked for thousands of generations. Am I still connected? But then, something even stranger happens. Dreams almost never follow logic. You're standing inside your childhood home. You open one door, and suddenly, you're in your high school hallway. A stranger somehow feels like your brother. Someone who died years ago is sitting across from you, as if nothing ever happened. It's bizarre, yet while you're dreaming, none of it feels strange. Why? Because your dreaming brain isn't trying to recreate reality. It's trying to recreate emotion. Think about how memories actually work. Your mind doesn't store your life like a movie. It stores fragments, a smell, a voice, a face, a feeling, the sound of rain against a window, the warmth of a campfire, a goodbye you never expected to be your last. When you dream, your brain begins stitching those fragments together, not into perfect history, into emotional truth. It's less like watching a film and more like walking through a museum after someone has turned off the lights. You can't see everything clearly, but somehow, you still know where the important things are. Now consider one of the oldest experiences every human has ever shared. Loss. Ancient people lost children, parents, friends, partners, sometimes without warning, sometimes overnight. Death wasn't unusual. It was woven into everyday life. Now imagine seeing that person again. Not in reality, but in a dream. You hear their voice. You laugh together. Maybe they hug you. Maybe they simply smile. And for one impossible moment, your brain forgets they're gone. Then morning arrives, and you lose them twice. Neuroscience suggests these dreams may reflect memory, attachment, and emotional processing. Many ancient cultures believed something very different. They believed the dead were visiting. Different explanation, same human experience. Because your heart doesn't ask whether the moment was biologically generated. For those few seconds, it felt real. And sometimes, that's enough. Now here's the twist. We've spent centuries asking the wrong question. We've asked, what do dreams mean? Maybe we should have been asking, what are dreams trying to do? Meaning can be symbolic, personal, impossible to prove, but purpose leaves clues. Dreams may not exist to predict the future. They may exist to prepare you for it, to rehearse danger, to strengthen memories, to process grief, to test relationships, to explore impossible situations before reality forces you into possible ones. In other words, dreams might be evolution's oldest classroom. No walls, no teacher, no tuition, just billions of nights, quietly shaping billions of human minds. Of course, not every dream feels profound. Sometimes, they're completely absurd. A talking fish gives you career advice. Your dentist is suddenly your Uber driver. You're late for work, even though you're riding a giraffe through a grocery store. What are you supposed to learn from that? Maybe more than it seems. Creativity isn't neat, neither is evolution. The human brain isn't only a survival machine, it's also a possibility machine. During dreams, the usual rules relax. Ideas collide that would never meet while you're awake. Most combinations are nonsense. A few become insight. Every myth, every invention, every piece of art, every scientific breakthrough began as a thought that didn't exist before. Dreaming may simply be imagination without the brakes. So tonight, when you place your phone on the nightstand, turn off the lights, and close your eyes. It will feel like another ordinary night, but somewhere, beneath your conscious mind, an ancient system will quietly come alive. A mind shaped by cold winters, open skies, campfires that pushed back the darkness, footsteps that meant either family or danger. The world around you has changed beyond recognition. Steel replaced stone, screens replaced stars, cities replaced forests. but the mind drifting into sleep still carries echoes of the people who survived all of it. And perhaps that's why dreams still feel so strangely familiar, not because you've lived them before, but because humanity has. Every night you dream, you step into one of the oldest traditions our species has ever known, a tradition older than kingdoms, older than writing, older than memory itself. So maybe your dreams aren't trying to pull you away from reality. Maybe they're quietly reminding you where your reality began.